quiero que le digas a todas tus amigas que ya llegaron
las más que primas.
Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Más que Primas. Yo soy Moni, ella es Chabela.
Y yo soy Karina.
Viri. Jessica. So, why didn't anybody tell us not to grow up? Just kidding, they did, but we didn't listen. Let's talk about adulting.
And how much fun it is.
How much fun it is. Yeah, it's something that I've talked about recently a lot with different people, different parents, about like how do you get your kids to break that cycle of our parents telling us don't grow up so fast, and us not listening, thinking they don't know what they're talking about,
right.
And then us realizing like, oh shit, they didn't know what they were talking about, like I don't want to grow up, and it's too late because you've grown up. And like now, you know, we have our kids and nieces and nephews that we're like, how do we get them to actually not grow up so fast? Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be like a never-ending cycle, you know, and if they decide to have kids, they're going to be telling their kids the same thing, like don't grow up so fast. You know, it's what? How can we actually get it through their heads? Like, don't actually grow up so fast. There's no going back. Once you got the responsibility, it doesn't freaking stop. And you know, our parents obviously they told us like, you know, it's the bills, the job, the working, and all of that. And at first, it sounds all fun and dandy. You get your first job, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got my first job. And then after that, it's like you never stop working.
So, what are some of the things since we're talking about adulting? The fun, what do they say? The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
What are some things that they do tell us, but I don't think it registers until you're in adulthood that you're like, like what are some of those things that you guys can think of?
I think that speaking of the jobs and bills, the finances, and not just paying a bill, it's the, you know, saving, how much to save, spending within your means, credit cards, and how addicting they can become if you're not careful. And of course, like, yes, I'm sure our parents warned us all about it, but like it was, I mean, I know my dad was really huge always on the credit card thing, but I feel like it's not, I know it's my experience and that's not everyone's experience based on some people that I know. They were never talked about like don't get all the credit cards because it adds up, don't, you know, they weren't talked about saving from your check. Like that was not, a lot of people were not taught how to save. You know, at least that was not my experience, and I feel like we were all pretty financially taught how to be pretty financially responsible. But I know a lot of people that was not talked about with them.
Which to me is mind blowing to think that that in school those are the basic, ¿cómo se dice? Like not principles, the basic skills
of life
that we should be teaching our kids, and it's mind blowing to see that our curriculum, and we, Vidi and I were in finances for a long time, and educating individuals about the importance of understanding how money works, desde chiquitos hasta grandes, and to think that our curriculum hasn't changed in years. Our children's curriculums in public school has not changed, which finances are not part of it. That's an extra class if you want to take finances, and that's certain schools.
Right, I was not.
And in certain, communities, but like, they don't teach us, and back in the day when you really use checks, like how to balance your checkbook, what's good credit, bad credit, all those types of things.
Credit, how important it is for everything big in your life.
See?
You know, how many people don't have any idea how to even check their credit score, let alone how to get credit, how to gain credit, how to start young, especially because how important it is at an early age if you want to start getting a credit card. Because maybe, I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's good to at least have one, especially for emergencies, which I'm so grateful that, you know, that my parents did open one for me young to start my credit. But I also know people that they didn't have any
But again,
credit,
they don't teach us good credit to bad credit.
Right.
Because just because you have a credit card doesn't mean that it's good.
Right.
How many credit cards and for what are you using it and how are you paying
well,
them
I'm saying
up?
for emergencies. And then also, yes, paying
how
it
are you
up.
paying it up? Like those
spending
are the,
within your means.
Those
so
are the basic things that they should have they should have thought what's it? They should teach us. Oh no, they should have taught us.
They should have taught us
back
then.
then.
They should be teaching
and
them.
they should be teaching them now. Right? Because those are the basic things that you are using day to day. You're using all of those things, and they're not. And to me, it's just mind blowing to think. Like, I'm so thankful for the financial education that Vidi and I got. Not only to see our parents how responsible they were to be able to make the purchases they did when they moved here, because they knew how to manage their money, but also us. Then later on in life, understanding the importance of saving for retirement, saving for emergencies, saving for it. Like to me, it blew my mind too. And I'm so thankful because I feel like I can pass that on to my nephews, nieces, and,
Es lo que iba a
and
decir.
myself.
O sea, lo puedes pasar de generación a generación. Creo que ese es el mejor también legado que puedes dejar a tus hijos,
sure.
que ellos sepan las herramientas que pueden utilizar para su futuro. Y
Setting them up for success.
exactamente, y como decía Cari, creo que como generaciones atrás no sabían de estos
Right.
temas, pues cómo nos iban a enseñar a
Right.
estas nuevas generaciones. Entonces sí es como que sí a mí también se me hace así de, ¿por qué esto no lo están enseñando en la escuela a nuestros hijos? Y ahora que soy mamá, pues a mis hijos desde que más que entramos cuando estuvimos haciendo esto de las finanzas, Cari y yo, ahí fue cuando yo dije, no inventes, o sea, yo estas cosas no las sabía, pero ahora quiero que mis hijos las sepan, las tienen que saber, no importa qué pequeños. Es que eso también es otra cosa que yo vi cuando estaba haciendo lo de finanzas. Muchas familias decían, es que pues ahorita todavía es muy chiquito, they're too young, ¿para qué? No, es cuando más tienes que enseñarles todas esas herramientas que les va a ayudar para su
Everything
futuro.
that you, at age appropriate level, of course, but it's never too young to start talking about money because
Y
as much as we don't want to admit it, money makes the world go round.
Yeah. Y entre más les hables de la importancia del dinero, no que el dinero lo es todo,
Right.
right? Pero la
Yes.
importancia de saber administrar tu dinero, saberlo gastar inteligentemente, eso hace una diferencia tan grande. Entonces por eso es que a los niños hay que enseñarles esto.
Les ayudamos a que adulting is not as difficult as it should be, porque
Yeah.
if in general adulting can be hard because of a lot of factors. You add the factor that you don't know how to like manage your credit. You can't buy this. You can't do
And the society
that
being
makes
so-
it even more stressful
such
being
a
an
consumer.
adult. Yeah, so I think teaching them young helps them to not make adulting so hard, or at least take a layer off of that part. So definitely finances es algo que nos dicen caina, pero no tanto, y ya cuando te caes en adulting, you're like, damn, like you appreciate money, and you're like, ahora sí, no, es mi dinero.
And they're ahead
Yeah.
of the game. Your kids will be ahead of the game
Right.
if they know about this. Like yo le digo especialmente a mi niño, porque es el que más hace preguntas, es el que más está curioso. Valeria, pues ahorita
Tiene más dinero que yo.
es muy bueno para ahorrar. Gael es buenísimo para ahorrar. Y me gusta que lo que le estoy enseñando
Yeah.
lo esté
He's actually
practicando.
retaining it and
Ajá,
practicing
sí.
and applying it.
Exactamente. Entonces, él me gusta que haga estas preguntas, mamá esto, mamá lo otro, y les digo, es que si ustedes saben esto, guess what? Ustedes son, por decirles, les digo así, ustedes son más inteligentes que todos los demás porque saben un poco más de lo
Right.
que los demás no saben. Y más porque esto no les están enseñando en la escuela. Y
Right.
sí, y Gael así como lo ves de chiquito, dice, yes, we're not learning this in school. Y
And that's
por
why
eso,
also why it intrigues him more.
exactamente.
So I used to help the people fill out their power of attorney for healthcare paperwork and the living will. And it's crazy how so many people don't talk amongst their families what their wishes are for their healthcare, like life support. Do you want to be put on life support? Do you want any extreme measures? Any of that? Like a lot of people don't know. Is it something that it's an uncomfortable conversation, especially like with our parents.
I think for us it's our culture too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think because I remember when we used to do the financial stuff, like when we would talk to different cultures, it was like more of the norm. Like we just haven't gone to it. We just didn't know where to start. But here was like opening a door of like an uncomfortable conversation. Of like you're calling that. Like I'm not about to die tomorrow. O
Yeah.
por qué estás loca? Yo no necesito eso. Falta mucho. And it's more. I think
You're
it's
right.
it's more
You're
of
right.
us too. Like
It's
And,
almost would taboo be the wrong word?
No, I feel like that's right. I feel
Right,
like that's
taboo?
appropriate there. Yeah.
yeah, but having those conversations, like it's very hard because it makes us think about like
The day that our
the
parents.
day that is to happen, which is inevitable. It's gonna happen. Is that the word?
Yeah, it's inevitable. Yeah.
That it's gonna
That's the
happen
only thing
to,
promised to us, unfortunately, in life.
to all
is
of us.
death.
To all of us, and
Yeah.
and I would always tell my mom like it's not about like calling it or anything. It's more like it also helps
Realistic.
us when mi mamá dice muchas cosas like yo no quiero ser una carga para nadie, yo no quiero hacer algo. Le dije,
Okay, this helps.
y es lo que le digo, nos
Obviously not
mortifican
emotionally.
más cuando no se ayudan
Right.
ustedes mismos. O si me quieres ayudar, hay que prepararnos desde ahorita para ya estar en un sentido preparados. Yo quiero saber qué es lo que necesitas. Y también financially, like,
Right.
that's a big expense.
So yeah, being an only child, like I talked to my parents about that, how everything is gonna fall on me. Like I'm not gonna be able to share that burden with anybody. Not that it's a burden you want to share, obviously, but at least you guys, can like split the cost, expenses, the responsibility of making decisions, like, all of that. And then also having those conversations of what do you guys want, being married. And again, it's so like morbid to talk about because of course we don't want to think about the day we don't have our parents.
Don't start prima, pues.
Too early into the episode.
Se va a caer la pestaña.
Se despegan. No, but it's very
But
true. You're
it's
right.
it's hard conversations, but they're so necessary. And then going with that, also talking about reversing roles, and also having to become caretakers. Thank God, we have such healthy parents, and overall, they're all doing great. And we haven't reached that point in our lives yet, but also it's something that you don't really, again, don't want to talk about, but also you don't want to think about, and it's just kind of taboo-ish. But then also our parents always say, like, well, I'm not going to need that. I don't want to get to that point in my life, like, talking to my dad about wearing diapers, and he's like, if I get to that point, like, I'm done. Just end me there, kind of thing,
Mi mamá dice, oh, no, a mí no. A mí no, yo no quiero que nadie cuide de mí. Okay. Yo no quiero que nadie cuide de mí, dice, mucho menos en ese punto donde me tengo que
Wiping my
limpiar.
ass.
And I'm like, Mom, you wipe my ass. Like, Larixa's like, yo no. Larixa's, yo no voy a limpiar.
God, I'll support you around my
And I'm like, girl, I'm gonna have to wipe yours too. So I got two now. No. Pero pues sí, no es algo que quieres hablar, pero es muy importante porque, y como dices, it's not things that we say, like, when you're younger, you don't think about adulting. Like, yes, that's part of life, and that's how do we prepare ahead of time to a certain extent so
Right.
that our adulting is not as hard. Because yes, adulting is hard, but it also can be fun. The process
sure.
can be fun.
For
But when
sure.
you hit those uncomfortable subjects, situations, if we don't prepare ahead of time, it's twice as hard.
Yeah.
So it's
But
so
also
important.
even then, preparing to an extent of having the conversations, but there's nothing like the reality of it. Once it hits you, it fucking hits you. And
Like a brick.
no matter how much you've talked about it, there's nothing like living it. And I always talk about that as becoming a first-time mom. Like people always talk to you about how much you don't sleep when you have children. But there's nothing like actually freaking living that sleep deprivation where you're like, oh my goodness, like how am I gonna survive another freaking day on like 2 hours of sleep? But you just do it. Same thing like with everything in life. As hard as adulting can be, and especially with the things that we don't talk about or aren't prepared for, you just do it. You just do it. And you learn as you go sometimes, but it sucks and it shouldn't be that way. But that's why like having these conversations and being aware of what we wish we would have been told as when we were younger, prepared better for, like now we know, and we were trying to change that for the future generations. But it's so much that doesn't get talked about, and you're like, oh fuck, cooking every day, every freaking day, having to decide what you're gonna cook every day.
Oh, so many things. I mean, just alone when you move out of your parents' home, you have to purchase everything. A broom, a mop. Like the littlest things that you never thought about.
And you're
You
like,
know?
oh, I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
new place. I'm gonna
Oh.
have all this cool stuff, and then
You
you're
get-
like,
yeah.
yeah, it entails maintenance. It entails
Some
Yeah.
breaks. Come fix it. Landscaping. Having to buy a lawnmower. Who's gonna go plow your snow? Daddy isn't out there plowing that snow. Mommy isn't out there. Little details. No, it's like adult. Nobody talks about that.
No.
Nobody
Tomar decisiones una vez que ya tus papás no están muy involucrados, porque yo recuerdo,
Yeah.
pues mi mamá, mi papá me ayudaban que, ¿cómo puedo hacer para comprar mi primer carro? Ellos me guiaban, como podían, ¿verdad? Entonces, I was happy to know that I had my parents there to support me and to guide me through the whole process. But then, as I was getting older, a lo que decimos, a la etapa de adulto, empezaba tantos miedos en mí porque decía, mi papá y mi mamá no van a estar toda la vida para ayudarme. Entonces yo tenía que tomar mis decisiones y eso me ponía así como muy ansiosa y decía que tanto agradezco a mis papás toda la guía que me dieron porque yo pienso que eso también a mí me ayudó a que ahora no es que diga que no me dé miedo nada, pero creo que para tomar mejores decisiones y sin tener que cuestionar todo el tiempo, ¿y cómo se hace esto? ¿Y cómo se hace lo otro? Y siempre estar viviendo en ese miedo. Entonces, eso para mí fue algo difícil. El saber que iba a llegar un punto donde, hija, ya tú tienes que tomar, yeah, you gotta figure it out.
Órale.
And now you're someone's mama. And now someone's
Exacto.
looking to you to make those decisions. She's like, oh shit, I just got over the fact that my mom's not helping me with my decisions, and now I'm someone's mama.
Yes.
Make those
still
decisions.
trying to figure
Yeah, wait a
it out.
second, huh? Go ask your mom.
Right?
Wait, I am your mom, you are.
Sí, es muy cierto.
But again, it's thankfully we had the parents that we had that helped build our confidence. And I feel prepare us as best they could for that day that they aren't here to have the confidence to move forward. You know, and again, looking, as I was saying before, like, you don't know how you're going to get through it some days, but you just do. Because you have to. Also, you know, you have to. They didn't raise no BITCA.
No, iba a decir, no, como si estuviera aquí Coquín lo que él diría. No, pero sí. I mean, there's fun parts to adulting too.
For sure.
I feel like as hard as it can be, like being able to find also your identity as to like what kind of adult you want to be, how you want to handle certain things too. I think there's a lot of fun things to it, but I think overall for me, adulting is hard. It's hard.
I thought you were gonna say overall adulting's been great.
No,
it's
it has
fucking
not.
hard.
It has not. I mean, it has its highs and its lows. But to me, the older I get, obviously, the hardest part for me has been watching my parents get old.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that can prepare us for that.
No.
There's nothing. And for me, it's hit me a lot more recently. My job does not help them.
Yeah.
I work with seniors. And my parents are in the age that they're considered seniors, although they don't feel they look it. Especially compared to some that I see in my job. I'm like, no, there's no way they're the same age as my parents. Like, my parents, no. But there is literally nothing that can prepare us for those moments, no matter, even if it's talked about, even if it were to be talked about, you know, those days are just, it's inevitable, and we know it, but when it comes, it's just like, man.
But it's crazy that you wake up, like, even watching your babies, like, girl. Like, right? Like, no one prepares you for
Like
that.
I say,
And
time
it's
is a
crazy to
thief.
see, like, you close your eyes and then the next day they look like a completely different person. Like, they're growing as we go. Same with our parents. And it's like you said, thankfully our parents are healthy to a certain extent. They're able-bodied still. But you see their hands. It's just like, I see things and I'm like, I see it in me too. Like, just.
I found my first Ghana the other day.
Yeah, like things like that. Le contaba a Viri el otro día que I went on a trip and I was in the airport and I was washing my hands and I heard someone say, talking to another lady saying, is there, en español, hay alguien más en el baño? And it was a guy. I couldn't see him. And then the lady's like, oh yeah, there's more women in there. She's like, why does she need to go to the bathroom? So obviously my nose went like that. And I saw that it was an older gentleman. He wasn't super old, but he was older with a lady in a wheelchair. The lady was older, way older, maybe in her late 90s. And he's like, ay, ves que tengo que entrar. I have to go in there and help her. And the lady's like, oh, does she need help? She's like, well, yeah, she needs to be taken. So my instinct was like, let me take her. Like, I mean, it's weird, but like, can I be of help? So I said, necesita que la ayude. Ella puede caminar. And he's like, yeah, but not all the way over there. You have to take her, and then she can get up herself and go to the bathroom. I'm like, if you don't mind, I'm more than happy to help. And he's like, oh, thank you so much.
So I can see in his eyes just to think like I can't help. I imagine it was his mom. I can't help my mom go to the bathroom. So I was like, I'll help her. So I didn't even think about it. I took her to the bathroom and I thought like, nomás lleva la señora a la taza. No, the lady was like, no girl, you stayed in here with me. So la metí, las ayudé a que se sentara. Yo no le bajé los pantalones. Le dije, señora, usted puede. Yo la agarro. So I was just holding her. And the whole time as I'm there, I'm just watching and thinking about my mom. Obviously my mom is still not in that age, but just to think like I hope that someone when I'm not available can do that for my mom. So that's what I'm saying. No one prepares you for that. No one prepares you to be in that situation where the guy's like, what do I do when my mom needs to go to the bathroom? And that whole time I was like crying after I left her, and my partner was like, why are you crying? It's okay, you did something good. I'm like, it's not even about that. It's just the whole concept that no one prepares you for those things. Like no one does. And yeah, it just made me think a lot about my mom, my dad, and I mentioned a lot my mom because my mom is here. My dad lives in Mexico now, so the relationship obviously is also different. But I feel like I don't know, like it's just crazy to think like we got to that part where we're just like
That's it's becoming more of a reality for us.
time flies. Time flies.
For sure. Time is a thief, and there's no stopping it, unfortunately.
Es algo que dices tú, ¿por qué no? Que esto me iba a pasar cuando, cuando fuera adulta. Bueno, que no es que te fuera a pasar, sino que es algo que experimentas.
Don't mind
The
the
geese wanted to join
they kill
us
the
today.
vibe. They kill the vibe. No.
Pues todo eso, de que, como dices tú, no tener siempre a tu mamá allí. O sea, tú ahora es adulta. Esa responsabilidad cae en ti. Ya no es, déjala hablo a mi mamá, déjala hablo a mi papá.
Even though we still do.
We still do,
Pero para muchas cosas nos las
sí,
tenemos que
ingeniar en el momento, you know,
Sí.
like,
No
again,
tenemos tiempo de hablarle a la
nah,
mamá
we
o al
ain't got
papá.
time. No, we ain't got time for that. Especially when it comes to our kids, that they come home with this situation, and I'm like, how do I like go about it, you know, with her, in like, you know, now I'm the mom, now I'm being put in the situation. How am I gonna explain this to her? And then it's like trying to track back and like, how old was I? How did my mom explain that to me? How did she prepare me for this? And it's like, but you're put on the spot and you gotta do it right there and then, you know? It's that no one prepares you for that. And no one prepares you for those incidents, you know, that you have to step in and be that mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, sometimes I'm like, I'm stuck. I'm like, I don't know what to do, Camila.
Girl, figure it out.
Like, come back to me, like, later. I gotta talk to your dad. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I'm stuck.
And I had to learn about that too. Like I've had to remind myself. I'm starting to have to remind myself, but I remember reading about how it's okay to tell your kids, like, you know, it's a really good question, but I don't know, or like, let's try to figure this out together with dad when he gets home, or something like that. Like that we don't always have to know the answers. And I feel like I look back and I'm like, I feel like my parents did that.
Yeah, my parents figure it
My
out.
parents always knew right away. That I don't remember them telling me like, you know, that's a good question. Let's look it up together. Like, I feel like they just knew everything. So I'm like, am I not doing something right? But no, I do have to start reminding myself like it's okay to not know everything, and to show our kids that it's okay not to know everything. And sometimes you know we have to look things up, or we have to problem solve and brainstorm together. You know, but it's funny because my significant other always says teamwork makes the dream work. And now my daughter the other day, for the first time, she said it because she helped her brother with something. Because he was like, I need help, and I think I was doing something, cooking, whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. And she's like, oh, I can help him. So then she helped him. And then she's like, there you go. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I was like, oh my God, that's so good.
Y ahorita que mencionaste que my parents had it all figured out. Like they never said like, oh, let's figure it out together. I think it also part of adulting for us is easier in a sense too because we have everything a la mano.
Google.
Oh, for
Google,
sure.
or phones,
For sure.
whatever, a phone call away.
Yes and no. Yes and no. It has like it's like a
Well, yeah,
double-edged sword
pros and
kind
its
of thing.
cons
Yeah.
too. But
yes.
I think like to a certain extent, that's why we're like, let's figure it out. In the past, our parents didn't.
They
have
had
to.
that
They
choice,
had to.
yes.
They were on their feet like las 24 horas. No tenían teléfono. No tenían Google. They didn't have like. It was just like natural common sense of building skills with
things that happen in your life. Acá, oh, Johnny, before something happens to you, let me make sure it
And that's
doesn't.
another
Like,
thing.
¿me entiendes? So, yeah.
That's another thing. I never saw my parents seem overwhelmed or overstimulated. Maybe they were,
Right.
but they didn't show it. Like, and that's something no one prepared me. I'm always overstimulated. I'm always overwhelmed, and I'm like, I
agree.
need
And
I
time for
agree.
me.
I feel like they thought, obviously, every parent does the best that they can.
Yeah.
And given the situation, the resources that they have. But I feel like they did not do us any favors with that. Because I also feel like my parents did such a good job with, like, not fighting in front of me, not showing stress, or obviously bringing me into their problems, their adult problems. Which as a child, I appreciate it so much now. Because no child should be brought into that, that burden should not be placed on them. And I feel like they did such a good job, but also like to look like they kept it together. And maybe they didn't. Maybe we just remember that. But regardless, like they didn't do us any favors because then we're like, wait, why are we feeling like this? Like, why does it feel so
Am I
overwhelming?
doing
Like our
something
parents didn't look that way. They didn't look stressed. They didn't look overwhelmed. They didn't look overstimulated. Somehow they kept it together.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't got time for that. We didn't have time for that. What you mean? I didn't have time to be
They're
overstimulated.
like, ¿Qué es the overstimulation?
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting chilly, right? I'm over here. I'm the only one that's like,
I love this
ya
one.
está frito. Ya está frito.
Sí,
Por eso
ya
ven
está
las
poniendo
luces un
mal.
poquito
Dimming down.
dim because cozy season, sweater weather.
But we purposely did this episode later in the evening because íbamos a estar chillonas.
Yeah, so you don't see my pestaña
We
falling
didn't
off.
want you to see the puffy eyes
Yeah.
and the red eyes.
Yes, así.
Yeah, but if you see like the changing of the lighting, it's because of that.
It is
'cause
the evening.
It's going down as we go, but yeah, very.
And also I wanted to touch on something I asked some fellow friends and stuff and listeners of our podcast what they wanted us to talk about in this episode of adulthood and what we were not told. And the big thing is healing our childhood traumas and not bringing it into our adult life and parenting life and relationships and all that. And
I don't know. I'm acting like the mom. I don't know.
I
don't know. We need a specialist.
Break time.
I gotta think about this.
trauma that we experience in childhood, and it's obviously not always necessarily something major, but also how any trauma that we've experienced, how it affects and it gets carried on into our adult relationships, our parenting, and just affects us in general, and how no one talks about going to therapy. Especially in our culture, it is very, I don't know if I want to say frowned upon, but it's like a lot of our people in our culture think it's only if you've experienced some crazy dark stuff, but it's not
yes,
even.
eso ahora.
Que estás mal de
En
la
estos
cabeza.
tiempos.
Right, or it's like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with them, like mentally.
Mentally.
Yeah, or like, and it also mental health is like, wait, what? You have mental health? So
Yeah.
I feel like that is not talked about enough. And I feel like now, just obviously between us, we've talked about it. Like, I've been in therapy and I very openly talk about it. Also, being a social worker and I minored in psychology, I feel like it'd be really hypocritical if I were like, therapy, ew. But yet I'm telling other people and helping other people. It wouldn't make sense. But not only because of that, but I truly believe I think everyone could benefit from therapy one way or another, whether you realize it or not. And that's the thing, therapy helps you realize it, because a lot of things you get carried into your parenting. For me, parenting, like so many things, and it's not even blaming it on my parents. It's also just life in general.
Yeah.
The situations that you get put in throughout life, again, carry on. And if you don't bring attention to it, aren't made aware of it, whether it's digging deep inside yourself, by yourself, however that may be, meditating, whatever, if you don't realize what's going on and then work on it to fix it, however that may look, then you just keep passing it on. We go in the cycles, and I feel like none of that is talked about.
No, definitivamente no.
And if
No.
I can add something also, I feel like with therapy, some people will do therapy or start therapy and they're like, it didn't benefit me, it didn't work for me. I also believe that not all therapists are for people.
Agreed.
So it's like, if you don't find that your therapist is helping you, then maybe switch.
Shop around.
Yeah, shop around.
Shop
Or
around.
there's also times where you could be seeing a therapist, worked out great for you, you've been with them for a while, and then it stops working for you.
Yes.
It's also healthy and okay to stop seeing your therapist
Advocate
and taking
for
a
yourself.
break.
Advocate
And taking
for
a
yourself,
break.
Yes.
Taking
And
a break.
also,
And
not wait till you're like I don't know how to say it. I feel like we associate therapy with like you being in a dark place or for you to be like in a bad place. Like
No tienes que
you
estar
don't
en
have
un
to
lugar
wait to
así.
that
Being
place.
proactive about
Be
it.
proactive
And
from the
I
beginning,
can
like you
relate
said.
to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
When after having my first daughter, I had postpartum, and it was rough. It was really rough, and I
That's
was in
another thing I
denial.
don't think we talk about.
No,
like the
it's not
adulting,
talked
they
about.
don't talk to you
Nope.
about
Mental health,
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Mental health.
Postpartum depression is so real.
what's that?
Depression
Oh, yeah.
is real.
Oh, yeah.
But postpartum depression, even my mom, not till she saw it with me, she was like, oh wow. And after the fact, after I had gone through it. So when I was pregnant with my son, I was like, I'm gonna see a therapist and I'm gonna prepare for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I
In
started
the case
seeing,
of it.
I started seeing a therapist before I even had my son. So
And I went through the same
yeah,
thing.
and
I went through the same thing.
it's preparing for it. So again, like you were saying, Kari, you don't have to be in a dark place to see a therapist.
And
Absolutely
then also
not.
going back to your saying about how, you know, if your therapist doesn't work for you, you can shop around. But also knowing that talk therapy isn't the only type of therapy there is. Because I feel
Yeah.
like
There's
when
art therapy,
we talk
there's
about it, like even with our parents, you know, like we're going to therapy, that's all they think about. And that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
associate therapy with is just talk therapy. There's so many different types of therapies out there. But also therapy in itself, there's different types of talk therapy. So like going into that's obviously a whole
That's another
another
complete
can of worms,
topic.
you know, that we don't have to go into. But just, you know, for people that don't know, there's so many different types of resources out there, and I think it's so important that you go
Y que
and
está bien dejarte ayudar.
Yes.
Dejarte ayudar,
To
que no
ask for
siempre
help.
tienes que tú sabértelo todo
Right.
o tratar de ingeniártelas para hacer todo, porque a mí en lo personal también eso yo creía, no de que no creía en la terapia, pero era más como que, I got this, yo no necesito hablar con nadie más que sea fuera de mi familia, claro,
Right.
con Cari, mi mamá, gente que realmente es importante en mi vida, pues sí, I'm gonna vent with them,
Right.
and I'm gonna let it all out, pero con otra gente yo decía, no es necesario
Right.
yo tener que, si estaba pasando por un momento difícil y no quería preocupar a mi mamá, Cari, yo era mucho de, me lo guardaba, me lo tragaba. Entonces, una vez que empecé a aprender más de la terapia, sin duda alguna, como dices tú, prima, lo recomiendo.
Te abre las puertas a otro mundo.
Exacto. Y me ha ayudado bastante, ahora que estoy en terapia, me ha ayudado tanto, porque es cuando empiezas a entender muchas cosas y decir, like, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to share your feelings with other people, para que están entrenados para hacer esto, para que tú puedas hablar con ellos. And, se siente tan bien.
It does. It really does.
Y más cuando encuentras a esa persona con la que conecta and works for you. Porque con la que yo tomo terapia, like yo le he dicho, me siento en un lugar seguro.
Yeah.
One last maybe thing about adulting that we can talk about, because I think it's getting way darker now, is that relationships, like how they, as you are going into adulthood, no one prepares you for those relationships
the loss of
a relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's a friendship, even family, like, because we're going into a different stage in our lives, paths differently, like,
it's not always a big falling out or like drama that happened. It's because I mean, for me, as
adulting.
It's just
It's
adulting. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
life
adulting.
that, again, different paths. Like even we've talked about, you know, how we've had a different stages of our lives where we've been closer one than the other, and we've just gotten to the point where we're kind of reached the same parts of our lives and we've bonded all of us again. But yeah, with friendships more than anything, like we were having these conversations, you know, about in high school, how I remember my dad would always tell me, like, high school is the time you really find out who your true friends are, for the good and the bad, you know, and when they show you who they really, who's the more important, because they will make time for you if they really want to. They will make an effort if they really want to. But also in high school, you're so selfish. Everyone is so selfish in high school. You're just thinking about yourself at the end of the day. So when a friend really does go out of their way to show that they're a friend, you know, they really mean it. You know, that's why he would say, like, you know, that's when you find out who your true friends are. And it sucks. It's such a heartbreak that, again, that also no one prepares you for. Like, one thing is a romantic one, like that heartbreak, you know, that's something that we also all go through, you know, as much as...
Era mi amor de mi vida.
El amor de mi vida.
El
But I
amor de
loved
mi
him.
Yes.
Lo quería mucho.
No.
But the friendships that you lose too, and that, again, like, it's not always like, oh, well, you know,
Me hizo algo.
she talked about me, you know, behind my... No, it's literally just because life happens, and especially if you go to college and some friends that go away and then just they end up staying out there or whatever. It's just no one prepares you for that.
Yeah.
And that you never get to have them as part of your life again.
Sí.
Which I
Or in
truly...
a different way too. Like, o la vida ya con el tiempo as adults, like, you fall off because you're transitioning into adulthood. They go their way, you go their way. And then again, life has a weird way of bringing you back.
When they're meant to be in your life, they do come back.
I was telling Vidi, one of my best friends from high school, like, she was my best friend, and I still consider her a very good friend and dear to me. But our like closeness it's not the same. For a while it wasn't. We came together again, I think last year, after so many years. But it's crazy to think that the bond is still there. And just recently I sold my first car to her daughter.
Oh, wow.
And her daughter is like 18 now, and just to be like, what? Who would have thought that my car, my first big girl
like a
purchase,
circle
the first time that I felt like an adult, because that was my first big purchase, that I sold it to who was my best friend back in the day. And again, it's like, wow, like those relationships too. There's crazy ways when we parted. It wasn't because no nos llevábamos bien. La vida literalmente nos llevó en otros caminos. Pero pues sí, yo me ponía a pensar, y no sé, ella podrá decir diferente, pero yo sí a veces decía, y si ella todavía fuera parte de mi vida, y si yo, no que no podíamos, pero como que sí, you mourn those friendships, even some other friendships that I had too, that I'm like, what if they were still part of my life? But there's a reason for it.
Right.
And
they cross our paths when they're supposed to, and everyone teaches us a lesson, whether good or bad, and it's like the butterfly effect, like they say. If that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. So I've grown to understand that everything happens for a reason, again, whether we understand it in the moment or not, but everything happens how it's supposed to happen. And sometimes it's okay to feel sadness over things that have happened, but then you just keep moving forward. As I said before, like, you just keep moving forward. It is what it is. But
that's what we'll continue to do.
We keep
this
moving
adulthood.
We keep moving forward in this adulthood. And there's obviously so many other topics that we could talk about, because, of course, adulting is just full of surprises and full of changes and everything. But we'll end it there, I think, Primas. And thanks again for joining us. And hope to see you in the next episode. Más que Primas.
Adios.
Bye.
¡Que pasen! ¡Que pasen los desgraciados!
Are you guys recording still?
Yes!
Oh shit.
No, no es eso.